Often, finding someone whom you admire is relatively easy. When that person must be well known and publicly documented, it gets a little more complicated. I personally am not a fan of the public figures of our time. To pick my subject of interest, I went a little outside the box. For this project, I picked someone that, as a mother, I would not mind being a role model for my daughter. The only person who is well documented that fell into that criteria is Taylor Swift. For Taylor Swift, she has risen to fame and celebrity status from a teenager and now into her 20s. For the general population, that kind of spotlight has a way of changing a person's values and morals, making her a great example of an inspiration to women. I could go on for hours on the list of accomplishments of Taylor Swift, both in regards to her music and her personal image. But because I only have a few minutes, I will touch on a few categories that make her an inspiration in my eyes. One thing that has always been prominent in Miss Swift is her empathy to others. That is why she's not only donated her hard-earned money, but her time as well. In 2012, Taylor wrote a song for the Stand Up to Cancer telethon titled Ronin, for a little boy and his family who died from cancer. I could write out a list of causes that she donated her money and support to, but what truly makes her an inspiration is not only her giving nature when it comes to her wealth, but her giving nature when it comes to her heart as well. In 2015, she surprised a couple at their wedding by singing for them. They were fans, yes, but the reason she dedicated her time to crash their wedding completely unpaid is because the groom's mother had passed away, and it was a song they danced to for their mother-son dance in an impromptu wedding before she died. When it comes to teaching empathy to my daughter, I will definitely use Taylor Swift as an example. Along with her empathy, Taylor Swift has been known to go out of her way to make her fans feel special. I researched a few of her interviews while considering interview styles for this class, and Taylor disclosed to Vanity Fair in October of 2014 she invited dozens of people to her homes for a performance in which they all danced and ate homemade cookies that she made. She's very thankful for her fans, and in her Rolling Stone interview in 2014, she went out of her way to help a fan come to shore from a boat just to take a photo with her, and even gave her money to celebrate her birthday dinner. When I look at the youth of today and people I want my children to grow up to be, her heart and personal connection with others is something my boys, as well as my daughter, could admire to aspire to. While Taylor Swift's philanthropy and personal relationship to her fans are facts that I find inspirational in my daughter, her greatest attribute that I hope my daughter can learn is her view and value on feminism. In her Rolling Stone magazine article in 2014, her friend Lena Dunham was interviewed regarding Taylor Swift and stated, "Swift has always been a feminist, whether she called herself one or not. She runs her own company. She's creating music that connects to other women instead of creating a sexual persona for male gaze, and no one is in control of her. If that's not feminism, what is?" My definition is very similar to Taylor Swift's definition, which is not that men and women can do the exact same things. We cannot. We're built different. However, women should be afforded the same opportunity and outcome for the things that are equal. This idea of feminism is exactly how I hope my daughter bases her life. Not that she is less, but that she is more, and that she deserves everything the world can afford her. Taylor Swift is a well-rounded young woman who puts herself in the limelight and continues to stay grounded. She surrounds herself with friends and family and refuses to let the media mold her to take away her values that her family has instilled in her. I will leave you with my favorite quote from Miss Swift. This was said in her interview with Time magazine. She was asked, "Is it a struggle being a role model for so many young women while trying to produce something artistically valid?" Her response, a great one, was, quote unquote, "I don't find a struggle with that balance. Being looked at as a role model because I think it is very obvious and natural thing for people to see you as when you're a singer. I've always felt very comfortable with it for some reason. And that in particular hasn't been one of my struggles. I struggled with a lot of things, but the idea that you're living your life and it's impacting other people, some of whom are very young, some of whom are lost or most impressionable times, and they're discovering the music that tells them how they are going to live their lives and how they should feel and how it's acceptable to feel. I think that's kind of exciting. But it's the same thing as living your life based on what your grandkids will say one day. I'm sure there will be things my grandkids make fun of me for no matter what. I'd rather it be, look how awkward your grandma's dancing and shake it off video. You look weird, grandma, rather than, grandma, is that your nipple? I don't make it as much as about the millions of people who would be disappointed if I were to have some sort of meltdown or scandal or something that made everyone feel like my character wasn't what they thought it was. I think more about the people in my life that would disappoint. My mom, my dad, my kids if I ever have them. And that way it's not as much pressure as thinking about the millions of little minds that you must be shaping. I'm trying to live my life with some sort of thoughtfulness put into my actions, but it's not because I feel like I'm the president of the International Babysitters Club. Her response is the very reason I find her to be the most inspirational public speaker person for my daughter.